Hey everybody, thanks for being here today. We're going to start this session on river cruising part 2, how to choose the right river cruise for you. Because all of them are different and we want to make sure that you, if you're going to take a river cruise, that you're on the right one. So let me get this screen up here and we will get started. Except I can't see it. Sorry about that, guys. We're having a little technical difficulty here, so just bear with us for a second.
There.
But I don't see it.
It's up. No, it's not. There we go. Back up.
Okay, maybe now we can get this thing started. This is how to choose a river cruise that's right for you. And we want to make sure that if you're going to take a river cruise, that you take the right river cruise on the right cruise line, on the right river. So today we're going to talk about how to compare them. River cruise lines are the same, but they're also different. Just like there's a difference in a Ford and a Mercedes, there's a difference in a Marriott and a Motel 6, there's difference in a Crystal Cruise and a Carnival Cruise. The same thing applies to river cruise lines. They have a lot more similarities than they have differences. Some of them they're almost all built practically the same way. The rivers and the locks on the rivers are only so wide and the ships can only be so long, except on the Danube, and we have a little different situation there. The itineraries are very similar. They will have, some will stop at some ports, some will stop at others, but basically the main ports will be the same on the itineraries. The daily routine is pretty much similar on all of the river cruises. The biggest differentiating factor that we have is usually just the river itself. It depends on the scenery. What are you going to see? Are you going to see castles or vineyards or farms? Will you see a train go by? Will you see a road that cars are on? Are there industrial stretches? It's going to depend on what you see. Also, a big factor is the amount of ship and barge traffic that a river will have. The rivers in Europe especially have gotten very, very busy because, as you know, that is their main way of transporting goods between cities is by barges that travel on the rivers. And now, because river cruising is so popular, there's a lot of ships on the rivers as well. Another differentiating factor is the actual shape of the river, how wide it is, like the Danube is very wide, or the number of twists and turns, the number of locks, any numbers of things. So we're really comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges. A lot of the features that they have in common is a top deck, that's an observation deck. There will be lounge chairs, there'll be tables, there'll be a shaded area. Some of the river cruise ships have got elevators that will actually go to this top deck, and this would be great for people that have accessibility issues. There's also a large observation lounge at the bow of each of the ships. These are glass-walled observation lounges where you can see everything on both sides of the river. All of the river cruise lines offer 3 meals a day. They all have shore trips that you can take, and usually there is one of the shore excursions that will be included in the price of your trip. There's always free coffee, cappuccinos, hot chocolate. Some of the lounges will have little snacks with cookies or fruit or whatever. That's pretty much available all the time. And they all have free but intermittent Wi-Fi service. All of them also have a buffet for breakfast and lunch. And usually there will be a four-course 2-hour dinner at night. The buffets now, because of COVID-19, we're not sure how they're going to look just yet, but from our understanding, you will no longer be serving yourself. You will be served from the buffet. The meals usually happen at a set time. Breakfast and lunch would be from like 6:30 to 8:30 or 7 to 9, and lunch would be from noon until 2. But dinner is pretty much at a set time every evening. You may end up dining with some people that you've just met, so you won't be seated at the same table with the same people all the time. Each of the cruise ships have also got a cruise director who is there to answer your questions. And unlike the cruise directors on the big ocean ships, the river cruise directors you become much more familiar with and you talk to more. They can answer your questions about which excursions would be best for you, what parts of the river you absolutely don't want to miss. And they are there to help make your cruise really, really the best experience that it can be. There's also a group tour approach to traveling by a river cruise. Most of the river cruise ships are owned or run by tour companies. They operate the river cruise as though you were on a group motor coach tour. The difference is you're traveling by ship rather than by motor coach. You also don't change hotels every couple of days, and that's a huge plus because you pack and unpack once. There are a number of river cruises that are not listed on this page because they don't cater to North Americans. These are the primary river cruise companies that would cater to any North American, whether you are U.S., Canadian, even English speaking. So British, New Zealanders, Australians. We've met some wonderful Australians on some of the river cruises we've been on. Some of the international river cruise lines are going to be Avalon Waterways, Avalon Waterways, Crystal River Cruises, Emerald Waterways. Then you've got Tauck River Cruising, Scenic Luxury Cruises and Tours, Uniworld Boutique Cruises, and Viking River Cruises. The domestic river cruise lines within the United States are American Queen Steamboat, Victory Cruise Lines, and American Cruise Lines.
So we have 3 basic categories: mass market, deluxe, and luxury.
You're muted.
No, I'm not.
Okay, go ahead.
You're not muted.
Can't. Go ahead.
We have 3 categories: mass market, deluxe, and luxury. Let's look first at mass market. Okay, so many of you are probably ocean cruise aficionados, so let's take a look at the mass market ocean cruise lines to see what they look like. If you like Royal Caribbean and Norwegian and MSC and Carnival, then you're going to like Emerald and Viking. Let's look at Emerald. Emerald offers modern designs. They have glass and mirrors, mid-century modernistic chic, clever architecture. You have a retractable roof over their 258 square foot infinity pool that can be converted into a little movie theater by raising it up. They have an active, culture-rich itinerary that spotlights history and culture with flashes of color. And they also advertise Emerald Active tours focusing on biking, hiking, and kayaking. They offer what they call sustainable art. It's plants that bloom inside giant eggshells, and eco-friendly decor, and exhibits of marlin's teeth and non-endangered coral and petrified wood. They also offer films, movie theater with complimentary popcorn, and they have 50 movie titles for in-room movies. And they own and operate their own ships. We have beer, wine served at lunch and dinner. They have onboard bicycles. We're going to see a common theme with the bicycles and fitness centers going through here. They offer exterior balconies, and they have 3 dining venues. Emerald has a free excursion in every port. They offer bottled water in their staterooms. Their ticket price includes port charges, and if you buy air from them, they provide transfers. Transfers are available, and the gratuities are included. Their per diem runs about $400 per person per day. Where do they go? Well, they cover Central Europe on the Danube, the Rhine, the Main, and Mosel. In France, they sail to the Rhone and the Saône. In Portugal, they sail on the Douro, and in Vietnam and Cambodia, the Mekong. Russia, they sail on Volga, and in Egypt, they sail the Nile.
Viking River Cruises is another one of the mass market cruise lines. Viking also owns and operates their ships. They are a very well-known entity. If you remember or watched Downton Abbey, you saw the ads that Viking River ran during that series. Viking did to river cruising what Carnival Cruise Lines did to ocean cruising years ago with their ads. They made the traveling public aware of river cruising and how wonderful it is. Viking is also affordable. It is pretty much inclusive pricing, beer, wine, and soda at each meal, or at lunch and dinner, I should say. They do have an optional silver spirits package that you can purchase that gives you unlimited spirits. And there is at least one shore excursion in every port. Their sightseeing tours are really, really good. They have some walking tours, some driving tours, and they have very engaging local guides. You see the picture there of the guide. All of the river cruise lines have the sightseeing tours where you have a headset and a receiver, and you don't have to be crowded around your guide to be able to hear the commentary on what you're seeing. They have some really neat itineraries. All of the major rivers in Europe, rather, they do go to those, as well as to Russia, China, and Egypt. And Viking also has a crew that is very readily available to assist you with any request that you have. So their service is outstanding. They also offer a free shore excursion in each port. There are optional excursions at a minimal charge that would be available. And they offer beer and wine at lunch and dinner, as we said. They do have some cabins with exterior balconies as well. Viking also has some 2-room suites. They include port charges in their fare, and airport transfers are included when you purchase the airfare from Viking. Their average per diem per person is $300. Now, Viking goes to some of the same places that Emerald does. They are on the Rhine, the Danube, the Main, the Mosel, and the Elbe River. In France, they're on the Seine, the Rhone and Saône, and the Danube. In Italy, they're on the Rhine, the Danube, the Main, the Mosel, and the Elbe River. In France, they're on the Seine, the Rhone and Saône, and the Danube. In Spain, they're on the Rhine, the Danube, the Main, the Mosel, and the Elbe River. In Portugal and Spain on the Douro. In Russia, they're on the Volga. In Ukraine, they're one of the few that goes to Ukraine. They also go to Vietnam and Cambodia on the Mekong, and then to Egypt on the Nile.
So now let's look at deluxe cruise lines. If you like Azamara, Celebrity, Holland America, Oceania, and Princess, then you're really going to like Avalon Waterways and Avalon Waterways. Sherrie, please mute.
I can't. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, so Avalon Waterways owns and operates their own ships. They have for interconnected cabins and triple quad cabins. The cabins are aimed at families with multi-generations, and they have a partnership with Adventures by Disney. They have balconies that include a unique design that has a French balcony and a walkout window. If you look at the photograph in the upper right corner there, you'll see that there's a true balcony there on the left-hand side where the doors open and you can see a deck chair. But then you have an alcove over here on the right-hand side that offers a good view of the exterior, but is not open and available. If you like to exercise on vacation, you're going to like AMA. They have a full range of active excursions with at least one in every available port. They also have wellness hosts on board that lead exercise class. Do you like champagne yoga? Then you're going to love AMA Waterways. Shoreside bike rides. They offer partnership with active travel tour providers, back roads, and they provided expert-led cycling, hiking, and walking tours. They have custom state-of-the-art titanium bicycles and support vans and flexible itineraries for anyone's abilities, from slow and leisurely to hyperactive. The big distinction for AMA is that they have the AMA Magna. It's their newest ship, and Sherrie mentioned earlier that for the most part, except for this one ship, all the ships are the same size. They have to fit in the same box. The biggest difference, the only ship that doesn't fit that box is the AMA Magna, and it is twice as large as other ships. Here you see the AMA Magna, and alongside it, a normal river cruiser. And the width difference is obvious. Where some of the other cruise lines offer staterooms that are only 135 square feet, the smallest room on AMA is 205 square feet, and they have balconies at 252 to 355 square feet. They also offer more specialty dining venues. And if you're a wine lover, you're going to love AMA Waterways because they have a full complement of different wines, and they focus heavily on regional wines where the ship may be sailing through. And if you don't like those, they have an assortment of other wines from prior days or from California or whatever to satisfy practically any taste. They offer wine-themed cruises with special tastings and seminars and wine pairings at dinner that are a delight. They also include excursions. They include beer wine with lunch and dinner, and they offer sparkling wine with breakfast. They have a complimentary cocktail happy hour with light lunches and dinners served in the lounge in case you don't want to do a full sit-down lunch, for example. And the lunches in the dining room can include either dining from a buffet or ordering from the menu. And as Sherrie mentioned, there may be some changes to that. AMA includes gratuities if you prepay them. They have 3 dining venues, and the Magna is a little bigger than that, but they offer the chef's table multi-course wine paired dinners, and it's included in your ticket price. And we were fortunate to experience the chef's table on one of our AMA cruises, and it is exquisite. There was a wine pairing with every course, and It was absolutely delicious. It fully equal the best meal you have in any fine restaurant. If you buy your airfare through AMA, they include your transfers. They have a fitness center. They have exterior balconies. Their per diem is about $500 per person per day.
Hmm.
You have ships that sail the Danube, the Rhine, Moselle, and Maine, and then in France, they also sail the Seine, the Saône and the Rhone. And Portugal and Spain offer the Douro. And for Vietnam and Cambodia, they offer the Mekong. In Africa, they offer the Chobe and the Zambezi. And then they also sail the Nile in Egypt.
Hmm. Hmm.
Before we go on to Avalon, I do want to mention about Africa with AMA. They're the only cruise line that's doing Africa on the Zambezi and the Chobe, and you can include it will include a safari. So they have got some really, really interesting itineraries in Africa. Now we're going to move on to another deluxe cruise line, which is Avalon Waterways. Avalon is unique because it is owned by the Globus family of brands. Now, Globus owns Globus Tours, Cosmos Tours, which is their budget tours. They also own Monograms, which is for independent travel, more independent travel. And then they own Avalon Waterways. The thing that is unique about Avalon is that you wake up to great views. Other than their river view cabins, and the river view means that they have a window that would drop from right below the ceiling down about 4 feet, and you actually see the river where you might see a little duck swim by. Most of the other cabins, or the rest of the cabins on the ship, have beds that actually face the window. So you can see in this picture how this works. That you get to experience the fresh air because they're floor-to-ceiling French balconies that open almost the full width of the room. It's about 3/4 of the way. So you have a balcony, but you are inside. So just like on Avalon on AMA Waterways, where you have the double balcony, on this one you have just the French balcony. This actually gives extra space to the cabin because it's not taking up space from the outdoor balcony. Avalon is noted for their Avalon Fresh, their healthy meals. So they have a very comprehensive menu of vegetarian and vegan cuisine. Their Avalon Fresh focuses on the local ingredients and the regional dishes that they prepare. They also have gluten-free meals, and they have menus that have you can get an ingredient list for food allergies in case you have those. Avalon also offers active cruising. Their active discovery tours focus on new ways to explore ashore, and that can be hiking, biking, kayaking, any numbers of things. The ships also are equipped with bicycles at no charge. Avalon also has a huge stable of tour guides. These are Globus Tour employees. They can, they can get the best of that the area offers because they have employment year-round. They're not just seasonal when the river cruises are actually sailing, but they do the tours year-round for Globus. Another one of Avalon's pluses is the interesting guest speakers that they have on board. For instance, Diana Galbadon, who was the author of the Outlander series, is one of their frequent guest speakers. There is a gentleman whose name is Nigel Stewart, who is a scholar on D-Day. And Nigel is from Great Britain, lives in Normandy, comes on board the ships, and does a wonderful, wonderful lead up to on the day before you actually go to the beaches of Normandy. They also offer pre and post tours through all three of their other brands, through Globus, Cosmos, or Monograms. So it's not just a hotel stay. If you wanted to add another package to it, you could add another tour to the other products. what's included with Avalon Waterways? Well, at least one excursion in each port. Sometimes there are two or more that are offered that would be included. They also have optionals that you can purchase. You also, just like with some of the other cruise lines, you get beer and wine at lunch and dinner and sparkling wine at breakfast. They too have the onboard bicycles. There's a small fitness center. They have the French balconies. There is a mini bar that would be at an additional expense. There are 2 dining venues on Avalon, and you have small group reservations. It's about 30 people to the Panorama Bistro. This is a tasting menu that is paired with wine. This tasting menu though could have 10 different tastings that you have that are very small, but it would be paired with the wines that they would be serving. They also served grilled lunches on board the sky deck as long as the weather is permitting. So as long as it's not raining or it's not really cold, then they would do the grilled lunches on the sky deck. They offer prepaid gratuities that you can do in advance and airport transfers when you purchase their airfare. Their average per diem per person is about $450. Avalon sails Central Europe on the Danube, Rhine, Main, and Mosel rivers. They sail in France on the Seine, the Rhone and Saône, in Vietnam and Cambodia on the Mekong, in India on the Ganges, in South America to the Galapagos and on the Amazon, and then in Egypt on the Nile.
Okay, let's look at the luxury category next. If you like Crystal, Regent Seven Seas, Seabourn, and Silver Sea, then you'll like Crystal River Cruises, Scenic Cruises, Tauck, and Uniworld. And you'll notice here that Crystal has
Go ahead.
Crystal River Cruises is first up. Crystal River Cruises own and operate their own ships, and in some respects, they're like a small ocean cruise ship on a river, in that they offer multiple dining venues. They also have some really neat high-tech touches, such as customizable lighting in the suites and an iPad for your use throughout the entire cruise to control room settings, temperature, whatever, and to order room service. They offer French balcony windows that open with the touch of a button, and they have, in an acknowledgement of modern day life, they have lots of USB and electric outlets and a digital do not disturb sign. They have one active tour complimentary in each port with things such as exhilarating adventures in cycling, hiking, and rafting. They offer a signature event per cruise that may include a champagne reception or private concert, like somewhere like Vienna's Belvedere Palace. And they have exceptional dining. If you are a gastronome, then you will love Crystal River Cruises. They have bold as well as picky things to satisfy any appetite. They also offer special wine pairing dinner in their vintage room. And they also have tantalizing gastronomy excursions that will include a visit to a local Michelin-starred restaurant to learn how to prepare a dish. Crystal is reminiscent of a luxury hotel. They have faux fireplaces and huge crystal light fixtures and spiral text staircases that are worthy of the finest old world hotels. They have a pop-up bar on the sun deck and a palm court lounge that has a partial glass roof for use in somewhat inclement weather. They have high quality lounge chairs and sofas and tables with excellent upholstery. They include all excursions. If there are no extra cost excursions over Crystal. They include all beverages, beer, wine, spirits, soft drinks, teas, whatever. 24/7. They have the obligatory onboard bicycles. They have the fitness center, spa and indoor pool. They have French balconies, and they also offer some 2-room suites. They offer room service as well as a mini bar. They have 6 dining venues. You have a personal butler. If you want to be coddled and pampered and spoiled, this is where you go. If you buy their air, if you use Crystal Air, it includes your airport transfers. Gratuities are included, and not unexpectedly, with this high level of service and inclusivity, the average per diem per person is $800. We had a question about what the per diem included. It includes all these things that we've talked about. The $800 is exclusive of airfare to the cruise destination. Crystal offers a limited series of itineraries on the Rhine and the Danube.
And now we're going to talk about another luxury cruise line, which is Scenic Luxury Cruises and Tours. Scenic also owns and operates their ships. You have no hidden surprises with Scenic at all. They are fully inclusive. All your excursions, specialty dining, mini bar in your cabin, unlimited drinks, onboard gratuities, it's all there. They even have an Italian restaurant called Portobello's that you can go to at no cost. Now, the upper deck passengers who are going to pay a premium for this can dine at the Table à Rive, which is the chef's table, and it is complimentary to those upper deck passengers. Their shore excursions include their free choice shore options, and they have 3 categories. They're relaxed, they're moderate, and they're active excursions. So you have a choice of those that you want. And they also have their Scenic Enrich, which are cultural experiences on each cruise. This could include a trip to a chateau or a castle tour or a private concert. It might include lunch at one of these venues as well. You also have flexibility with Scenic. You have a choice of shore excursions in each port. You have GPS guided tours for those who are independent travelers. Now, this is important because people will get lost if they get out by themselves in a place that they're unfamiliar with. So to have that GPS guided tour is really a good thing to have. They also have the onboard bicycles that you can use for guided or for independent trips yourself. Their cabins are boutique hotel style chic, and you can see from that picture that they look very much like a hotel room that would be in a European hotel. They include robes and slippers, and they also include L'Occitane toiletries. Scenic luxury cruises, if you want to be pampered, all passengers have a butler. It doesn't matter what category cabin you're in. The degree of services, however, does depend on the type of cabin that you get. Their enrichment is cooking demonstrations on board. They have talks and performances by local musicians. If you want to learn how to do the Viennese waltz, you can do that while you're docked in Vienna because they will bring an instructor on board. You do pay higher fares for more inclusions, as Charlie said earlier about Crystal, but your bar charges, your additional excursions, and your gratuities, all of that would be included. So what all is included? Just as we said, all excursions, all beverages 24/7, onboard bicycles, a fitness center, exterior balconies, 2-room suites, room service, and there's not a lot of the river cruise companies that actually provide room service. There's just a few of them, and they are more in the luxury category. You also have a mini bar and 6 dining venues, personal butler. You have port charges included. You also have airport transfers if you're using Scenic's airfare. Gratuities are included. And this is a new one. Laundry is also included. So if you're doing an extended trip and you don't want to have to worry about taking all the clothes that you have in your closet, you can have your laundry done on board the ship. The average per diem per person on Scenic is $500 per person per day. Scenic goes to Central Europe, They do the Danube, the Rhine, the Main, and the Mosel, just as most of the others do. They also do the Rhone and the Saône in France, as well as the Seine. They go to Portugal and do the Douro. They do the Mekong in Vietnam and Cambodia, and they do the Volga in Russia.
Okay. The next up is Tauck. And by the way, I want to mention that if you have any questions, please open the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen and type in your question, and we will answer your questions at the end of the session. Tauck River Cruises is owned by Tauck Tours. You may be familiar with them as a tour operator. The highlight that they like to mention is that there is no onboard bill at the end of your cruise. Their fare includes all your beverages all day, alternative dining options, bikes to use at port, free Wi-Fi, airport transfers, and gratuities. Something that is interesting is that they give you money to buy lunch at a local cafe during long port excursions instead of having to come back to the ship. They have open seating in the main dining room, and they have Arthur's, the restaurant that offers quite a wide variety of made-to-order items. Tauck has sophisticated but not fussy decor. It's quietly upscale, it's elegant. They offer chandeliers and ironwork in the lobby for decoration and eye candy, and neutral colors in the cabins. They have a more intimate atmosphere on the ship because they only carry about 130 passengers compared to 150, as many as 190 on some of the other lines. That means that their lounges and restaurants are less crowded, and that your short excursions have smaller groups. And they also have some cabins that will accommodate 3 or 4 people. Tauck includes all your excursions, all beverages 24/7, onboard bikes, a fitness center, exterior balconies, and a mini bar, all in the ticket price. They have 2 dining venues. They include port charges. And again, if you buy their air, it includes your airport transfers, it includes gratuities, and their average per diem per person is about $700. They sail Central Europe on the Danube and the Rhine. They sail the Seine, the Saône, and the Rhone in France, and then the Douro in Portugal.
Another one of the luxury river cruises is Uniworld Boutique River Cruise Collection. Uniworld owns and operates their ships as well. They are definitely a luxury cruise line. They have very finely appointed staterooms, Italian marble bathrooms. You have a pillow menu. You have plush robes. The ships are beautiful. They're very old world, as you can tell from the picture, and they have the latest technological innovations with ultra luxurious amenities. Each ship has a different color palette. On most of the river cruise lines, you're going to find from ship to ship to ship, they're going to look pretty much the same and have the same basic decor. On Uniworld, every single one of them is different. And you're going to see original art. You're going to see incredible furniture and antiques throughout the ship. Uniworld is all-inclusive, so your fares it will also include fitness classes, gratuities, wine, Wi-Fi, all your beverages, your airport transfers, butler service, and most of your shore excursions. Now, there are a few optional ones that you can purchase. They have some over-the-top shore excursions as well. For instance, you could do a wine tasting luncheon in a French chateau, just like this picture of the chateau over here. Or you could have a personalized chef's tour of a local farmer's market. They offer complimentary bicycles, Nordic walking sticks, umbrellas, reusable water bottles. They are known for their world-class cuisine. Lots of farm-to-table ingredients and a lot of regionally inspired dishes. They have privately owned motor coaches. They use Mercedes motor coaches and an exceptionally high staff to guest ratio in the river cruise industry. They also offer some family-oriented cruises, and some of the cabins have a sofa bed that would accommodate a third or fourth passenger on most of its ships. So what does Uniworld include? They include all excursions. The only optional excursion that I have found that they do not include is their Vienna evening concert, and it's 75 euros per person. But I can tell you from experience, it is definitely worth doing. All beverages 24/7 are included. Onboard bicycles, fitness center, exterior balconies, room service in the suites only, but it is available. Mini bar, they have a personal butler, only in the suites as well. Airport transfers if you use their airfare. Your gratuities are included. Free laundry in the higher end suites, but more importantly, there is a complimentary self-service laundry on most of their ships for any passenger to use. They also have multiple dining venues, and you can dine on top al fresco if you want to. Their average per diem per person is $500. Uniworld goes to a lot of places. They sail in Central Europe on the Danube, the Main, the Mosel, and the Main River. In Italy, they sail on the Po River, and they're the only cruise line right now that is sailing on the Po River that caters to the North American market. You can even add on any of their river cruises, or their Italy cruises, you can add on a stay in Venice, a stay in Rome, in Florence. All of that would be included in the cost of your trip. In France, they're on the Seine, the Rhone, and the Saône. In Portugal, and Spain on the Douro. In Russia, on the Volga. Uniworld also sails in China. They do Vietnam and Cambodia on the Mekong. They go to India on the Ganges, in Egypt on the Nile, and in Peru, they do the Galapagos.
Okay, if you're a participant, ask you please to mute your microphone. Let's look at river cruises in the USA. We have American Cruise Lines, American Queen Steamboat Company. I know it's a little similar sounding, it's sometimes confusing. We have Victory Cruise Lines and Viking River Cruises coming to the Mississippi River in 2022. We have American Cruise Lines. They offer simple sophistication that delivers culture and history and enlightenment with unique experiences on every one of their itineraries. They have the newest ships on the rivers, and you'll see from the photograph there that the ship is substantially different from other river cruise ships that we looked at. This one has 5 decks and would not be suitable for use in Europe because it's too tall. The ships are designed to be environmentally friendly. They have private balconies, large staterooms, and it's an all-American experience with an American crew. American Cruise Lines includes all your meals and snacks. They have complimentary cocktail parties. They offer onboard entertainment. They include gratuities. They do not include port charges and fees in their ticket price, but they can be prepaid. The featured tours are complimentary. They have optional tours for purchase. So the reason we have that is there may be tours that are not of broad general interest sufficient to include it and offer it. But if you've got 10, 12 people that want to go see something special, then that may be offered. And their average per diem per person is $250 to $450. American Cruise Line itineraries include the Mississippi and the Cumberland River, the Ohio River, and they also sail Memphis to Nashville. They have ships that sail the coastal waterways in New England to include the New England Islands and Maine coast and harbors and Hudson River and Cape Cod. So if you had an interest in doing New England without going all the way over to Quebec City or Montreal or something like that, this might be an alternative for you. American Cruise Lines also does the Pacific Northwest and Alaska. This is an adventurous cruise here in that they offer the Columbia and the Snake Rivers. They have a Northwest Pioneers cruise along some of them along the path of Lewis and Clark. They have Puget Sound and San Juan Islands cruise and a Southeast Alaska and Inside Passage cruise that they can do that foreign flag vessels cannot. And this, because of the ship size, they're able to get into places that the big ships couldn't ever get into. But in addition to that, they offer some cruises in the Southeast to include Golden Isles in the South and the American Revolution cities and Chesapeake Bay and Great Rivers of Florida. And if you want to go up the U.S. coast on a cruise, you can do the East Coast Inland Passage or the Mid-Atlantic Inland Passage and not have the open seas movement of your ship.
American Queen Steamboat Company is another U.S. river cruise company, and they are the one river cruise company that are all of their ships are true paddle wheelers. Now, American Cruise Line also has a paddle wheeler, but all of the American Queen Steamboat Company's ships are paddle wheelers. They have a very elaborate main dining room. It would remind you of a dining room in a hotel, probably back in the 1800s. Very tall ceilings in them, just absolutely gorgeous. Charlie and I have done an American Queen cruise a number of years ago, and we're very, very impressed with the dining facilities. They also have an entertainment hall for performances, and performances can be anything from having a Mark Twain impersonator on board to having some local entertainment come on. Their ships have got balconies, as you can see from the picture. They have an absolutely immaculate decor. Their cuisine is very regionally inspired. So if you are sailing out of New Orleans, you can expect some really, really good Cajun food from New Orleans. As you get up to Memphis, you might have Memphis barbecue. It's all going to be very regionally inspired. They also have some luxury accommodations and some very competitive pricing. One thing I do want to mention about the ships that sail on U.S. waters, you look at the pricing on them and you think that they're a little bit high, but you have to remember that any ship that is registered in the U.S., which all three of these cruise lines are subject to U.S. wage and hour and tax laws. And because of that, their pricing is going to be a little bit higher because they have to abide by all of these laws. So what does American Queen Steamboat include? They include a one-night pre-cruise hotel stay with each of their cruises. So it doesn't matter where you're going to sail from, you're going to have that one-night pre-cruise stay. They include all of your meals, beer and wine with dinner, not with lunch, but with dinner. They do have an unlimited beverage package for purchase. It's just not available on all of the ships. They do offer prepaid gratuities. Again, it's not available on all of the ships. They have hop on, hop off, or some other excursion in every single port. And their average per diem is $250 to $450 per person. The difference being with these, as you see the range rather than what it was on the other river cruise companies, is that there are more categories on the ship. So there's more categories just like there are on the ocean cruises. So you're going to see a difference in the actual per diem. American Queen sails on the Mississippi River. They do New Orleans to Memphis. They do round trip out of New Orleans or Minneapolis to New Orleans. You can do a longer length, or St. Louis to New Orleans. They sail the Ohio, the Tennessee, and the Cumberland rivers, and they do Louisville to Pittsburgh, Memphis to Louisville, St. Louis to Cincinnati, or Cincinnati to St. Louis. They also do the Columbia and Snake rivers in the Pacific Northwest, and you can even experience the Wilder West by doing the Snake River. The special edition cruises that they do a big band cruise. They also do an American music festival that will include not only Nashville, but it also includes Memphis and New Orleans. So you can get all of the music that you could possibly want. Then they have some special edition cruises that are music of the 50s and 60s. So any of you who are fans of or experienced and lived through the 50s and 60s, there's a cruise for you there.
Okay, and this one may be a little less well known than some of the other lines. Victory Cruises is owned by the American Queen Steamboat Company, and they sail primarily on the ones that we want to look at on the Great Lakes. They have luxurious and comfortable ships. They are ocean-going capable ships, but they don't sail in the ocean. They offer masterful cuisine and onboard lectures. They offer an evening dance band entertainment with classic elegance on board the ship in a good setting. They include pre-voyage and a one-night hotel stay with regional cuisine and specialty and casual options. The thing that we like about domestic river cruises is that you get to enjoy regional cuisines and things that are unique to that area. And they also include a short excursion to each port. They have an afternoon tea service. I love afternoon tea. It's just so much fun. They have a cocktail hour daily. They offer complimentary non-premium beer, wine, spirits, and soft drinks. And they have onboard enrichment programs with an average per diem of, again, $250 to $450 per person per day. Victory sails some neat cities. They sail on the Great Lakes to include Montreal, Chicago, and Toronto, and Niagara Falls. But they also go into the St. Lawrence Seaway to include Boston and Niagara and Montreal and Charlottetown. And of interest to a lot of people is they do a coastal cruise to Beaufort and Savannah and Charleston and Fernandina that a lot of people find interesting. They also offer Alaska with highlight cities of Ketchikan, Tracy Arm, Vancouver, and San Diego. Again, they're able to go into port cities and ports in Alaska that the bigger ships couldn't ever get into. They also offer in the Gulf of Mexico, they offer Yucatan cruises to include Cancun and Tulum, Campeche, and Progreso.
So let's wrap this up and go over a couple of things. The main thing about a river cruise and choosing a river cruise is what's important to you. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Europe or Southeast Asia or China or Russia or Egypt, or do you want to sail in the U.S.? It's where you want to go. What do you want to see? Do you want to see castles or villages or wineries? Are you looking at American history? What are you looking for? And then what's included in the fare? That's going to be very important. If that's important to you, what's included, then we have to find the right cruise line for you. And most importantly, what's the cost going to be? And the cost is going to be determined by where you're sailing, what the airfare cost is going to be, and how long your cruise is, and the type cabin that you have. So let's compare these by category. Remember, we're comparing apples to apples to apples. So first in the mass market is Emerald Waterways and Viking River Cruises. In the deluxe market is Ama Waterways and Avalon Waterways. In the luxury market, we have Crystal River Cruises, Scenic Cruises and Tour, Tauck River Cruising, and Uniworld Boutique Cruises. And then in the U.S., we have American Cruise Lines, American Queen Steamboat, and Victory Cruise Lines. Where to sail in Europe? Well, you've got all kinds of places you can go. You can do the waterways of Holland and Belgium. You can do the Rhine River, which will include the Netherlands, Germany, France, and Switzerland. The Danube, which would include the Czech Republic, Germany, Austria, Hungary, or you might want to go to the Black Sea for Romania, Bucharest, Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia, Hungary. On the Mosel River, you can do the Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, and Luxembourg. On the Seine, you would do Paris to Normandy and go out to the beaches of Normandy. On the Saône and Rhône River, That's going to be in the south of France to Burgundy and Provence. Other international river cruise destinations are Italy, Portugal and Spain, Russia, China, Vietnam and Cambodia, India, Egypt, and Peru for the Galapagos. The U.S. rivers are the Mississippi, the Ohio, Tennessee, and Cumberland, the Great Lakes, Canada, New England, St. Lawrence Seaway and Cape Cod, Southeast Coastal, Alaska, and the Columbia and Snake Rivers, which would be the Pacific Northwest. What are the benefits of using a travel agent to book a river cruise? Well, first of all, it's a little more complicated. This is not like booking a cruise to the Caribbean. This is much more complicated. Booking on your own may put you on the wrong cruise line. And that's the one thing that we don't want you to do. That's, as a travel agent who specializes in cruises and especially river cruising, we don't want you to be on the wrong cruise line. We want you to have the best possible experience. If you book direct, then you're only going to be given one choice, and that would be that cruise line that you contact. By contacting a travel agent, we know all the different cruise lines, and we can help you choose the one that's going to be best for you. We know what to look for and what you should avoid, and we can help offer recommendations based on your personal preferences, the things that you tell us what your needs are and what your expectations are. We're also your support system for problem solving should something arise. Biggest problems that we ever confront with any river cruise is airfare and air getting changed and canceled. And we've had to go in and help people when we knew that there were going to be weather conditions that were going to cancel flights for people even getting home. We can also advise you about cabin sizes and location and river destinations. And we have access to booked groups on cruises through consortium that we are members of. And believe me, this can reduce your costs considerably. We also have special promotions that are privy to us that give you reduced rates, upgrades, and extra amenities that you would never know about because they're not going to be shown to the general public. This is something that is strictly for us to be able to offer to you. So my biggest advice is to look for a travel agent who specializes in cruises and specifically in river cruises. We want to thank you for being here today, and I'm going to come out of this so that I can see you guys and tell you how much we appreciated you being here. Does anybody have any questions? I'm seeing.
Yeah, we've got some here, and the two or three of them have asked about free Wi-Fi on Avalon and AMA, and to be sure that there's no misconception or anything misconstrued, all of the river cruise lines that we talked about in Europe offer free Wi-Fi. As Sherrie indicated, that sometimes it would be intermittent. That's because the ship sails in deep gorges and you have mountains all around you that may be disruptive to the Wi-Fi signal. And a couple of questions popped up about why per diem for Scenic is about the same level as Avalon and AMA. And it has to do with their pricing models, and I frankly don't know. I do this, we'll dig into it and see what we find out and maybe have a session that addresses that. And another question deals with the cruise line transfers and how far in advance or after the cruise you have to utilize those transfers. And the short answer to that is that unless you buy the cruise line's pre-cruise or post-cruise hotel package, you cannot buy their transfers because they offer the transfers only as part of the day of cruise departure or day of sailing or sending you home, unless you buy their hotel package. And then they do include transfers, but if you do not buy their hotel package, you're on your own, and your travel agent will help you buy the transfer package to get from the airport to your hotel, then from the hotel to the ship, and ship to airport or hotel, depends, may be the case.
And there's another question that says, again, does not understand how the per diem for Uniworld can possibly be similar to the range of Avalon and Ama. It just depends on how they do their pricing and how many people are on the ship. And there's a number of things. I can't tell you how they pick and choose that, determining what their pricing is. It's strictly whatever the cruise line can, actually what they see that they need to get. There is major differences. There's major differences in all of the different cruise lines. And again, I cannot stress enough why you need to book with a travel agent who understands cruising and specifically understands river cruising. This is not as simple as purchasing a Caribbean cruise or just hit or miss, you're going to be gone for 7 days. This is an investment in a vacation. This is not just a getaway to go sit on the deck with a drink with a little umbrella in it. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, again, I want to thank you so much for Charlie and I both for being here today. And hopefully you learned some things about river cruising. We will be doing some others of these. I plan to have another session, hopefully in a few weeks, on one of the specific rivers that we can talk about. And we even want to do one on the Christmas markets, river cruises, because that's such a specialized area to go to and things to do. So thank you all again for participating, and we appreciate you being here. Thanks. Bye-bye.